Picture this. You walk into your home after a really long day, and instead of being greeted by a sense of calm or relaxation, you are greeted by a wave of burden, both mental and emotional. Friend, this is the reality of clutter and what it can do to us over time. You may have thought that the clutter was simply taking up space in your home and a bit of an annoyance, but the reality is for people who struggle with clutter, and this was me too, it goes well beyond that. But the good news is you can liberate yourself from that emotional burden. And today, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. Hi, I'm Katie, declutter expert, speaker, and boy mom, and host of the Maximize Minimalist Show. And through this YouTube channel, my social channels, and of course, my podcast as well, I've helped hundreds of thousands of people take their homes from chaotic to calm. And I'm so happy you're here today because one big reason I helped so many students, and I'm so honored to have done that, one big reason is because I go beyond surface level strategies, which is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. And I think that for a lot of us, we can understand the different types of ways that we pay for our clutter. And the most obvious ones are with our time and with our money. So for example, the time it takes to dust it, shop for it, move it around the house, move it from pile to pile to pile, search for it when it's missing. Oh my gosh, I'm getting stressed and overwhelmed just thinking about all the time wasted and invested into our clutter. It adds up. But we also pay for it mentally. It takes up our headspace. Just like it's taking up physical space in our home, it's taking up prime real estate in our heads. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be bogged down and feel like I have 100 open browsers open inside my head, which is what clutter does. Just like if you have 100 open browsers on your computer, I think we all know what's going to happen, right? After a while, your computer is going to start to slow down. It's too much information. Same thing applies here. It drains our energy. It impacts our mood. Anyone else here feel triggered by their clutter ever? If I could, I'd be raising 2 hands here. It also makes it harder for us to relax. Clutter tells our brains there is more work to be done. So my analogy here is imagine you are sitting on the couch, you've got your chores done, the kids are in bed, you are ready to relax and watch Netflix or maybe open a good book. Now your partner walks into the room and says, "What are you doing? Get up, there's more work to be done," and just starts yelling at you, right? Well, this might seem like an extreme example, but that is what clutter is constantly telling us. All of this visual stimuli is going into our brains, and our brain is like, well, we have more to do. This is the reason why it can be really difficult to relax in a home that is filled with clutter. In fact, there are studies you can look up that report that just by sleeping in a cluttered environment or cluttered bedroom, it's going to impact your sleep. You might wake up more, you might not get as deep as sleep, right? This goes well beyond being able to relax. It's impacting our sleep too. But by far the most under talked about part that clutter causes is the emotional price, y'all. This is heavy. If you know, you know. The stress, the overwhelm. For me, I can say a big doozy was resentment that came from clutter. As a woman and wife and mom and the primary stuff manager and home CEO, I had the burden of managing all of my stuff and all of my kids' stuff and even my husband's stuff at some points. And it led to so much resentment because I was so overwhelmed. There was too much. And my to-do list, no matter how much I got done each day, only seemed to grow and grow and grow. I used to resent my kids for making messes, as kids do, because it added something else to my to-do list. I used to resent my husband for coming home after I cleared the counters off and plopping his stuff on the counters I just cleared. And I'm not saying it's not annoying at times still when that happens, and it does, but the resentment ran deep and it really negatively impacted all of my relationships, including the one I had with myself. And that was because I had so much shame about my clutter. Clutter shame runs deep for so many of us women and moms because our culture is constantly sending us messages that we should be able to do it all, do it perfectly, and do it with a smile on, have a successful career, raise successful and happy kids, be a great wife, cook a hot meal, keep our house clean at all times, declutter, stay young forever, and have a spotless home. This is a huge emotional price and so much pressure we have, again, from our society. And then oftentimes we only end up putting that on ourselves. This keeps us stuck. It keeps us suffocated and feeling trapped. And all of a sudden, we went from owning our things to our things owning us. Clutter negatively impacts our emotional health, our relationships, our belief systems, our faith, even our self-esteem, right? Which is very greatly tied into shame. If we feel shame about who we are, it's not like we feel like, oh, I messed up. The house is filled with clutter, or I'm struggling keeping up with it. Let's pivot and move on and see what I can change. When we feel shame, it's not I failed, it's I'm a failure. It's a small nuance in language, but it leaves us feeling pretty bad about ourselves. And every time we walk through the threshold of our front door after a long day, we are constantly reminded that we're a failure. Friend, I don't know about you, but that was one of the most liberating things, and I tear up thinking about it, that I no longer have to deal with. And you'll gain so much liberation from that shame when you're actually being able to make progress. And again, just like I talked about in the beginning, go past those surface level strategies. If you stick with surface level strategies and only tackling the easy clutter, which a lot of us tend to do because it's easier. It doesn't take mental and emotional bandwidth to declutter an old magazine from 1985 for most of us, right? But if we never dig deeper, it's constantly one step forward, two steps back. And the journey to getting that calm, simplified, peaceful home you so desperately want and deserve takes years. And some people never even honestly reach the finish line of it. Clutter ties into our emotions, and we have a lot of different types of clutter that we're emotionally tied to, well beyond just the quintessential sentimental clutter, right? We have what I call identity clutter, where letting go of said item makes you feel like you won't know who you are, or you won't remember an identity you once had or even want to have in the future, right? Instead of it being separate from you, this item feels like an extension of you. Then there's aspirational clutter, items that you've clung to over the years in hopes that you'll be able to use them or wear them or utilize them in a fashion that it'll help you reach a goal or do a hobby or execute something that's important to you. But the reality is the current you doesn't use those things. And then of course, sentimental clutter. Maybe it's items you've inherited, things that just bring up nostalgia, maybe things from your childhood and just remind you of a very specific season in life. And I don't know about you, but a big one that used to bog me down outside of the ones I just shared was this guilt clutter. It was the items I just felt guilty for letting go, so I didn't. And that was a large bulk of my clutter. So until I was able to move past that, I was stuck. And I think we've all experienced clinging to these different layers and emotional clutter that causes emotional clutter on the back end. This actually reminds me of one of my coaching clients, Natasha. Now, Natasha was in kind of a transitional period in life. Her kids were off to college. She was what she referred to as an empty nester. And she was really feeling this desire and pull to create a home that really represented who she was and the new season in life she was having. And I think like any of us, when we set out on a new goal in life, whether that's a health or fitness journey or a declutter journey, we often turn to blog posts, YouTube videos, right? We try to find a lot of online content to help support us and guide us through that process. And she very quickly realized, finally, after landing somehow on my YouTube channel, yay, that she was only tackling the easy clutter, number one. And number two, she realized it wasn't really a lack of information. She'd consumed so much information on how to declutter. Instead, she realized she needed one-on-one support because she needed help implementing the information, a lot of which she knew what to do, but didn't know how to actually execute it, right? So she signed up for my coaching program, and y'all, listen to what she said. I had more success in 3 weeks working with Katie than I had over the past 3 years on my own. I've been able to process and declutter over 30 boxes of sentimental items, and I'm still going. And I reclaimed our former guest room / junk room to be my relaxation room. Now, instead of avoiding that space, I read and spend time doing things that fulfill me. My home is becoming my own, and Katie has given me the courage to do this. I also think of my student, Mandy, who was in a completely different season in life than Natasha. Now, Mandy was a full-time working mom with 3 kids under 7 when she joined my coaching program. And she said, I've broken free from the shackles of clutter. It is life-changing. For the first time in 7 years, which by the way was when her first child was born, I'm able to be present and make memories with my family instead of being stressed 24/7. I feel so liberated and encouraged each day spending time in my home now. And I'm like tearing up. What Mandy shared is really, it sounds like a part of my testimony and my story. And that's profound. Think about how Mandy's relationships have shifted. Her time and energy are being devoted to her family and raising her family and spending time with her partner and really doing all the things that she always wanted to do, but that clutter was getting in the way. The burden that's lifted is so powerful, which reminds me of another student, Carrie, who actually just emailed me this week, and she said, it felt like I removed this invisible 50-pound backpack I've been carrying around my whole adult life. Letting go of the deeper clutter has helped me free myself from things that aren't truly a reflection of who I am. The books I promised I would read someday when I had more time, the accolades from my career, the clothing that hasn't fit, and anything in between, I was able to, for the first time, part with, and I have zero regrets. For years, I spent my time and energy focusing on the easy clutter, and through working with Katie, I realized I needed to dig deeper, and the results have been life-giving and life-changing. I'm happier every single day. How powerful is this when so many of our goals in life is contentment and happiness, and actually being able to achieve that through doing the opposite of what our culture teaches us, right? When we consume, when we buy, when we have that house, have that car, have that purse, all these things we're taught we can achieve through materialism. And I think if we looked around our house, right, and look at the clutter, it's very apparent that the opposite occurs, right? Tying into this emotional clutter conversation we're having today. So if you too want to feel that lightness, that freedom, that life-giving power source that decluttering and simplification has to offer, that peace that Natasha, Mandy, or Carrie have and shared with me, here are some thoughts for you. Number one, when we're able to let go of these deeper layers of clutter, it helps us step to a more authentic version of ourselves and who we are today. And there is nothing more powerful than that, in my opinion. When we let go of the past and the stuff that's keeping us stuck, it can be very freeing, which is what these three students of mine have all shared in their own individual ways. So if you're in your home right now and you know you've got a scary doom room filled with sentimental clutter, identity or aspirational clutter, or clutter you're keeping just because you feel guilty of letting it go, you have to remember that stuff on its own is neutral. It's completely neutral. You have to get to the root of why you're attaching meaning to it. So with curiosity, not shame, blame, or judgment, go into that scary doom room, take a peek in there, or open a box and say, listen, why am I so attached to this idea of myself or this identity or these particular things? What is it that I'm clinging to by keeping these things? And what will I gain from being able to let go? And here's the thing, I'm not saying let go of every sentimental thing or anything like that. That's not what I'm getting at here. So even journaling and even just pondering about it for 5 to 10 minutes is gonna bring so much self-awareness into the situation, which is really difficult sometimes when we're facing our clutter, right? We don't really want to accept why or what or how it got here. We just want to declutter it. But if we never get to the roots, it's going to be an uphill battle. So getting to that source and being able to reframe it is going to be one of your keys to success. The next thing is you have to understand you are not your things. And this makes me, I'm tearing up a lot today, aren't I? Your car, your career, your education level, your home, your weight, your stuff, your wrinkles, whatever, right? None of that is who you are today. And I think I'm crying and tearing up because, again, it's counterculture. Our culture doesn't want us to believe that. It wants us to be lifelong customers and always, want to be younger and be prettier and be skinnier. And here's all the things you need to buy in order to be happy. Again, we already hit on that. That's not the reality. You are not your clutter. You are also not even your favorite things that you keep after you declutter. You're not any of that. And if all of that stuff was gone tomorrow, you would still be the amazing person that you are. And once you realize that, you're liberated. You're free. And when you go into that doom room, you're going to have a lot more confidence to let go and free yourself from some of that stuff that's keeping you stuck. And a side note here for those who struggle with guilt, like I did. If you struggle parting with gifts or things that came from a family member, or even just nostalgic items maybe from your childhood, letting go of those things doesn't mean you don't appreciate that time in your life or that gesture if it was a gift or that person if it was something you inherited. It means you're honoring your need for simplicity and for space and for less physical clutter, the obvious, but less emotional clutter. And so you can ask yourself, if I were free from guilt, would I still keep this? That question was a big anchor for me to help me move past that. And I have zero regrets. Just like Carrie said, zero regrets. Only positive things have come from that. So I thought it would be fun to do a little visualization exercise, okay? So take a deep breath here, right? This topic's getting a little heavy. We're gonna lighten it up a little bit. Now imagine it's 90 days from now. In just 90 days, you'll have completely decluttered and organized parts of your home. Maybe that's your closet. Maybe that's your doom room. Maybe that's your living room or your kids' play space that up until that point have been causing you daily stress and frustration. Your mornings are quiet and intentional instead of rushed and aggravated and looking for things that are lost. And you get to savor your warm sips of coffee or tea or cappuccino or espresso like me while enjoying your simplified, peaceful, uncluttered home. The mental fog that has weighed you down for way too many years is gone, and it's been replaced with clarity and peace. You are well on your way to a home that you love and that supports you. Just like our family and our friends can support us, so can our homes. And you are well on your way to a home that does the same thing. That when you walk into it, you no longer feel chaotic and chaos and distraction. You feel like it's giving you a big old warm hug and saying, welcome home. We missed you. Unlike many who seldom succeed at decluttering their homes because they don't go deeper, right? You're off to an amazing start. You have already established routines and systems and habits, which are the foundation of seeing success. And you've noticed something surprising and wonderful. Doing your daily chores is easier. Doesn't take as long. You're saving time. The time at night you used to painstakingly scrub the dishes or pick up after your kids or clean up takes half as much time. That time you are now spending with your family, maybe with your kids or your grandkids, giving them extra snuggles, maybe with your partner, maybe with just yourself reading a book that you swore you'd read one day, right? When you had more time, now's the time. Now you get to do what you've always wanted to do. You're saving time, energy, headspace, and that constant frustration and anxiety over the state of your home has literally melted away. Heck, you're even saving money because you're also putting intention on the root of clutter. And you've said bye-bye to a lot of that impulse shopping because we want to get the clutter out. We also want to reduce it from coming in, making your life and your declutter journey a whole heck of a lot easier. That's because you've got momentum. You've got one-on-one support from me. You've got accountability and the power of habit going for you. And at this point, 90 days from now, there is no stopping you now. You are on fire, friend. That's the life-changing opportunity this video and this topic today presents to you. And if you enroll into my coaching program, we will make this happen together. I've designed my coaching program, The Inner Circle, in a way that lets me coach you and hold your hand and link up arms and do this with you side by side, albeit virtually. And we get to be together for 90 days doing this. And you might be thinking, Katie, why 90 days? 90 days is because I've worked with thousands of students. And during our time together, I will give you a personalized declutter plan for your season in life that you can effectively use, no matter what season you're in, whether you're an empty nester, or you work from home, or you're a mom of 10, or you're a mom of none, or you're a mom of cats like me. I'm just a cat lady. No matter who you are or how long you've been on your declutter journey, if you're ready to dig deeper, get to the roots, establish habits, and get sustainable results, this program is for you. Even if you've done declutter programs or organization programs in the past and they didn't work, this is different. This program is simple, it's straightforward, and it's literally everything for the person who feels overwhelmed or emotionally burdened by their clutter and is just too overwhelmed to tackle it on their own. If you work, I promise you this program will work. Did you know that there's actually a study that was done on readers of Marie Kondo's Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up book? This book, bless it and bless Marie Kondo. She put decluttering on the map for millions of people worldwide. Maybe like me, you remember reading that book years ago and feeling inspired and starting to tackle some clutter. But then after a while, you fizzled out or you just stopped, right? And this happens to the best of us. And actually, that's what ties into the study. The study found that 86% of people who read the book, got inspired, began to declutter, gave up within the initial 3 months of starting, 90 days. And the bulk of them quit within the initial 2 to 6 week period. Holy cow. And even more astonishing is that those people gained their clutter back. This is the reality for most people, but not my coaching, not my inner circle students. I have surveyed them because I've had this program for over a year, and the results are the reverse. Actually, more than that, 93% of my students who went through that 90-day coaching period with me report that the clutter has stayed away and they've been able to maintain it and continue decluttering on their own with the tools that they learned inside this program. Which of those results would you rather fall in? I know what it is for me. Friend, it is time to free yourself from the burden of clutter. If you're ready to start the journey and enjoy the transformative power of living clutter-free, just like my students I shared, and there's many more where that came from, be sure to click the link in the description to join my inner circle and hear about everything, including all the juicy bonuses you get that are going to help you live a simplified life. I hope to see you in the inner circle, and I'll definitely be seeing you on the next video. Bye.